right, everybody, welcome back to episode 4 of Obscuracast. Today, we're taking a little bit of a turn from what we've been talking about. Last couple of episodes, we've been sort of going into uh, sort of the ethereal type of stuff as far as like aliens and UFOs and things like that. Today, we're going to take something a little bit more home-based, I guess. And as always, I have Dan O'Neill with me, and we actually have a special guest on this episode as well. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good, man.
We have a special guest, Brennan Koval, that is on with us as well. What's up, dude?
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So
Oh yeah.
we're gonna go into a little bit, like I said, a little bit more home based stuff as far as stuff on the ground as opposed to up in the air. So um I guess the main topic that we're talking about tonight is gonna be cryptids, is that right?
Sure is.
Okay.
That's what I was
Excited.
informed.
So basically for anybody that doesn't know, cryptids are essentially they're figments of basically like lore and stuff like that have happened on Earth. So your Bigfoots, your Loch Ness monsters, things like that. And it's an interesting topic because there's a lot of documented footage, but the question is, it's kind of like the UFO stuff as well as the stuff that we went over last episode with like the Anunnaki and like that kind of stuff, where it's not really factual and a lot of it is sort of portrayed in the wrong light just due to AI and things like that. So a lot of the footage, I mean, the main ones that people know about are, like I said, the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, but there's also a lot of other ones that people don't talk about as much. And that's sort of what we're going to get into. And I know Brendan has a firsthand account of cryptids that he's going to share with us a little bit later. But what do you guys think as far as the cryptids are concerned? Do you think it's fact? Do you think it's fiction? Do you think there's some truth to it? Do you think it's overshadowed fiction where like some of it's true and then some of it's fabricated? What do you guys think? I'll let one of you go. Dan, go ahead.
I think that there is some truth to it. I don't think that obviously all of it's true. I think I do think some of them could be real. I mean, there is a new species of ape that was just discovered in the Amazon, I think in like 2014 or 2015, that nobody knew about. So I mean, um, there are species out there that we don't know about. I mean, you look at the ocean, we've only explored like what 1% or something like that.
The vast majority of
So
it's
there's
below the surface
yeah,
anyway.
right. I think a lot of it could also be people misidentifying stuff. But however, I do think that there. I mean, if you look at history, Germany with the Nazi regime, they were trying to make human chimpanzee hybrids. Lord knows what our government has tried doing or has done. You never know. And they're never going to come out and tell the public that they did it. So,
Well, even on that
could be some
topic,
of
I
that
think
too.
even on that topic, and Brendan, I'll let you weigh in too. Even on that topic, you look at like the all the stuff that's been going around as far as like the last, I would say 10, 15 years about like clone meat and stuff like that, where like they're basically, if you want to believe it or not, they're throwing meat that is not necessarily 100% beef or 100% pork or something like that. It's been cloned from another animal to sort of mass produce that kind of stuff. And Brendan, I just want to sort of touch on that as being like a little snippet of sort of what we're talking about. Brendan, how do you feel about the whole situation? Do you think it's fact? Do you think it's fiction? Do you think it's bullshit? What do you think?
Well, first I want to say the people that may be mischaracterizing them or misnaming them, it's 2025. They got to get better with it. All seriousness though, so there's actually people that are called cryptozoologists, and they basically study these different things with very minimal fact or personal experience or scientific data. But one cool fun fact is kangaroos used to be considered those, and now you see them everywhere.
Right.
A long time ago, they thought kangaroos were some sort of, animal that wasn't real.
Seriously?
And yeah, I swear to God. Um,
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah. So I think that there's definitely things out there. I think that, listen to some of your guys' stuff talking about, just paranormal things in a way, and things beyond us. I definitely believe that there's things out there that we don't fully understand, kind of like how the ocean is, but on land. Um, People real into Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot festival here every year. I don't know about out, where you guys are from, but there's one up north every year. Um, for Bigfoot, what is that? What was that
Up in
called, Dan?
Marionville, it's Bigfoot Fest.
Yeah, Bigfoot Festival. And what's the crazy thing is what I encountered doesn't go along with like people who like hunt them and like research them. There are zero recorded cases in the state of PA that would line up to what I encountered. Even looking into what it could have been still doesn't really line up with the things in PA.
So
So
essentially,
I
yours
def
was pretty unique, is what you're saying. Yours was pretty something that was sort of out of the ordinary, even for cryptid's sake.
yeah, and listen, I definitely think the animal or humanoid being of Bigfoot, was it ever once real? Yes. Can it still be? Definitely. Have I seen it? No. So that's one of those things for me. It's like, even though I haven't seen it, I still definitely believe it. There's some things I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like it's not absolutely
Mm-hmm.
wild, but
Yeah.
then I start to really sit and think. I'm like, okay, well that could make sense. I could understand it from this viewpoint. So try
If
not
you
to be
think
completely
about
closed off.
if you think about how many millions of acres there are that there's forest land, just the United States alone, we're not even talking about Europe and Russia or Asia. Like, you think about Alaska, Alaska's like the size of Texas, isn't it? Or
It's
bigger?
pretty large.
Like,
Yeah, we're talking
and there's only
landmass wise, yeah, for sure.
like that is the last wilderness frontier that is not super, and there's a lot of military bases out there, secret military bases and stuff like that, and Lord knows what's out there. So just like with the Amazon, and you think about that vast jungle, um, there's no reason why up in Washington or Montana, Alaska, Canada, look how big Canada is. There's a lot of acres that probably very few humans have even touched.
Well, you're talking about things that are uninhabitable too. You're talking about like places like the
Yep,
Yukon, for example, that nobody could survive anyways for more than maybe a day or two. Like without. Well, I'm saying surviving, like,
by yourself.
yeah, exactly. So like a survivalist or something like that.
Mhm.
You wouldn't be able to do that, but like there are certain cultures, certain Inuit cultures that make life in the Yukon, but they have the ability to do so because they have the means to do it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um,
And those Inuits, the Inuits and the Navajo and like these Native American cultures and even the tribes down in South American stuff, they all have cryptid stories too.
well, right. It's
So,
not, but that's the thing is
Yeah.
it's not generalized just to the U.S. or to Europe. It's there's sightings all over the place. Like for example, the Loch Ness monsters in Scotland, I believe. Correct? Isn't that where it's
mm-hmm,
supposed to be at?
mm-hmm.
So like
Yep.
you have all of these
Nessie.
places. Yeah, you have all of these places. It's not just centralized to one area of the world. It's everywhere. Go ahead, Brennan.
Like going off what you just said about around the world, like good point. Um, I'm gonna mess this name up. The kitsune. It's a fox spirit, like in East Asia. Then you got the selkie. No, I definitely messed that name up. From Scotland, like, and then even Loki, the Norse trickster, is like Loki the god
Yeah,
is considered
Mm-hmm.
one of those.
interesting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like it's wild.
But a lot of the stuff, like I said, could be real deal stuff. It's just fabricated to a certain degree. Where like it's kind of like, where's the Mothman at? Isn't the Mothman somewhere in the Midwest?
So Mothman is West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so it's a little bit of
They've
everywhere.
had,
Okay.
they've
Mhm.
had sightings in Chicago. Yeah. So
Well, there's something I kind of want to go off to. I definitely think that some of the stuff is like fabricated to an extent of being like, in my point of view, like really. But I think there's kind of a fine line. Not so much a fine line, but I believe in certain things, and I also believe in good and evil. Some of these things that like you guys talked about with like Native Americans, I do feel like some of these, cryptids are somewhat of an evil spirited thing that's not necessarily an actual animal, but it's actually real. Does that make sense? Like
So you're saying it's more
some
like supernatural type of stuff? Is that what you're trying to say? Where it's more of like a here, not here
demonic,
type of thing? I wouldn't even say demonic because he's also talking about things that are
like
good. So
spirit,
like demonic has
like
like that,
spirit.
yeah, like the demonic thing has the negative connotation that it's evil or malicious or whatever.
Yeah, like I
So
believe that some of these things that are classified as cryptids that people study, I don't fully believe that they're all animals. Like I just said, Loki is considered one of those things. But here in the States, like I think about, the big one is skinwalkers or a Wendigo. And, there's actual videos, there's actual things like that online, whether people want to argue that they're fabricated or AI generate, whatever you want to say. I do believe that some of these things are real, like legitimate real animals or humanoid things. But I also believe there's a aspect of a little bit of a further beyond with some of this stuff.
you're saying like interdimensional?
Um okay, so when you say that, like I'm not talking about like aliens. I'm talking about like paranormal. I'm
Yeah,
talking like
paranormal could still be interdimensional.
So
yeah,
like
but
essentially, it's got a 1 foot in, one foot out the door type shit. I think is what Dan is
Mm-hmm.
trying to say, and that's sort
Yeah,
of where I'm
yeah,
going to, is that
like a spirit.
it's otherworldly. It's not necessarily an alien. It's something that it could be. We were talking last episode about gods and Norse mythology and stuff like that, and monotheistic and polytheistic, all that kind of stuff. I think that's where Dan's trying to go with it. I don't think he's trying to say that it's necessarily an
Mm-hmm.
alien, but think about the definition of an alien. It's something that's not human, right? It's
correct.
something else.
Correct.
So
Yep.
you have to sort of put alien with an asterisk. I think that's what Dan's point is that it doesn't necessarily have to be the green guy that comes up with the huge eyes and the huge head that's telekinetic and all that kind of shit. That's not necessarily something alien to us, is something foreign. That's what I attribute an alien to. I think that's where
Right.
he's going with
Right.
it.
That's where I was going.
Something that's beyond
Yeah,
our
that
understanding. That's what I'm saying.
that makes okay. That I can comprehend that a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the main thing with cryptid, I think we all agree. I think we all agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I think a lot of what we have to deal with as far as cryptids are concerned is probably not necessarily fabricated, but it's definitely blown out of proportion to some degree. Like you could see depending on the depiction of the cryptid you're talking about, you could see something that looks like that, but it's not necessarily to a T. I guess that's my point. So uh, what I also wanted to get into with the cryptid stuff is that do you guys think as time goes by it becomes more fabricated and more blown out of proportion? Like, do you think the lore just grows with people wanting it to be prevalent within pop culture or wherever it's sort of stationed in that realm? Or what do you guys think about that? Do you think they grow more and become more um not necessarily fictitious, but I guess more of a icon than anything else where it's like it becomes so well ingrained in pop culture that people just have to sort of feed the lore? Or what do you guys feel about that?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Um, I feel like in modern times, as we get smarter, as we advance as humans with technology, I think things have been. I think when they originally started, they've definitely been fabricated more. But I feel like now that there's more ways to get evidence to kind of go with that fabricated story that could have went a little bit further, kind of like, oh, I caught this fish, the fish, it always gets bigger, kind of one of those things. But I think nowadays it's to a point where people are so invested and just so obsessed that they want to believe it all. Do I believe that, like, I definitely feel that things are fabricated to an extent, but I don't think it's to the extent that some of these people should be believing. People going out there knowing what something sounds like when there's never been a video or a sound recorded of what they sound like. Does that make sense? Like a
Yeah, to me it
weird.
does for sure. Yeah, I mean, like, there's weird sounds and weird bumps in the night, but doesn't necessarily have to be a cryptid. Does it have to be something like that? Not necessarily.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think what's interesting is like one of the big ones that I know of is Bigfoot, and hearing people who have had a Bigfoot encounter. The ones that always where I can kind of somewhat buy into it is when they start describing it, like people, even the ones that don't necessarily see it, but they have like they're camping, they're in a tent. They talk about this like horrible stench. They always talk about this bad stench. And even the Native Americans talked about this horrible stench that follows it. Um, People that have seen it talk about there's certain stories with people seeing Bigfoots that I'm like, okay, I can maybe get it behind that, but then there's other ones that I feel like are so outlandish, like they're 12 feet tall. I'm like, all right, well that's not even. Most of the stories, Bigfoot's between like Blake's height and like 8 feet. So we're talking like 7 to 8 feet tall. Um, I don't know how many like legit Bigfoot stories you guys have heard from people talking about their encounters, but it's almost like out of 100 stories, there's probably about 8 to 10 that you're like, all right, well, these are seem kind of more legit than the other ones because they have a very similar theme. These are people that don't know each other. A lot of times they're in different parts of the country, different age groups, different ethnicities, and they're saying the same thing. And a lot of them were not believers. I tend to I tend to like to listen to people who didn't believe in it at all and thought bullshit, that shit doesn't exist, to then they have an experience. It's almost like with UFOs or like spirits, where people who are not believers at all have something happen, which I have experienced that firsthand with a couple of people. Both of you know one of them. Um, I won't say on this, but you know one of them. I'll tell you off air. Um, Adamantly did not believe it, and then had an experience happen, and then they believed it, didn't really want to talk about it, but they turned into, I don't really know anymore, instead of just thinking, oh, it's bullshit, that it's not real. It actually kind of almost changed their religious beliefs because of it. Um, but when you talk about something with cryptids, I always think that those interactions where you take somebody who wasn't a believer at all to holy shit, they had an experience. It just fascinates me. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Those are the ones I can really jump on.
And you know what? That makes total sense. Like you were saying about the Bigfoot thing, I know two separate people that have told me stories. The one I fully believe, the other one is more like You know what I mean? Like maybe he made it up, and that's from my own personal experience with something that I'll dive into later too. But like you said, I know I knew, I guess I should say, somebody that legitimately had a first-hand encounter with one. I know a couple people that have genuinely experienced things and they can't explain it. So some of it, you know, I don't know, like the smelling thing, that's not just for a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot or whatever. That's for a couple different things, and I think that could be something that was fabricated, if that, because how can you have multiple different things smelling the same way but be totally different? But then
Yeah,
getting back to that,
yeah. As far as
that
like the
goes back,
sightings and stuff, yeah, like it. How can it be the
yeah,
exact same smell? Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but then it goes back to my thought process of, well, what if some of this stuff is actually evil, and what if some of it's actually good? What if some of it's like a decaying, nasty smell because it's actually evil? But what if it's just a nasty smell because it literally is living in the woods?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and if it's eating rotted animal carcasses, then it's probably not going to smell too good because if it's hot out, it's going to, sweat, right?
Right.
yeah,
Release that. It's not going to smell good. I mean, you can even take if you guys have ever wandered on, I mean, Brennan,
Well, I
you're a
mean,
hunter,
it's like the
Blake, you've
same thing
hunted,
as like keeping
like,
like meat in your fridge for too long,
yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
milk or cheese or whatever. It tends to smell like it's gonna rot. Like I mean, even
Yeah.
cheese being mold, it can still go bad. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
hmm
like,
raccoons don't smell too good because they're scavengers. They're in trash cans all the time and dumpsters and, you know, um, so it
dude, I
just
got chickens
depends.
and ducks. Sometimes I walk past them, I'm like, oh goddamn, like
Yeah.
and it's the
you know,
defecation too stuff, right? Like
Mm.
they're eating like you said, Dan, with like vultures and raccoons and stuff like that. They feast off of whatever they can find. So if they're eating a dead animal, then happen to shit it out, it's not going to smell great either. You get what I'm saying? So like
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff comes into play. Go ahead, Brennan.
well, that's like bears. A lot of people I know that hunt bears. I've never personally ran into somebody who was like, oh, dude, I love eating bear. I love eating black bear. It's the same concept. They eat nasty stuff, and then their meat gets real nasty and like greasy and oily. Just everyone that
Mm-hmm.
I've known didn't like the taste. I tasted it one time and I was like, this is bad. Like, there's no way. This is cooked, like, rough. So I think that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure. And the other thing too is, as far as people saying, well, how are they so elusive if they're so big? I've heard that question a lot. And if you've
I
noticed
have a
where these
theory on that.
things,
I'm glad you brought that up. I have a
oh,
legitimate theory on that. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
no, you're good. So if you notice where a lot of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot sightings are, um, and again, this is just one cryptid, but if you look at a chart of where a lot of the sightings are, they are by a lot of cave systems, and I don't think too many people realize exactly how many fucking caves we have here in the United States, especially in the Midwest, and even more so out in the West and in the desert. Um, and Lord knows up in Alaska and stuff like that, you could easily have something living in the cave systems for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Brennan.
So going to the elusiveness thing, Blake, have you ever went hunting?
yes.
Okay. What did you go hunting for?
Mostly waterfowl and deer.
Okay. Dan, you went hunting, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Deer, correct?
deer and turkey.
Okay. So I grew up in a hardcore hunting household. Um, my dad was a professional hunter. He was a guide at a ranch, big PR guy. Something that I have found through my life so far, and I'm younger than you guys, but even for personal experience, the real big natural bucks in PA or damn near anywhere else, they're always deep. They're elusive. You might see them for a little bit of a time, and then just like they disappear. You see them the next year. They're smart.
Mm-hmm.
So if a
Yeah.
white-tailed deer that pretty much causes a shitload of crashes in this state, at least a year, that people think are dumb, whenever you get big mature deer, including does, they know where to go. They know how to be evasive. They know how to not be seen. Like,
Yeah.
I'll even take it a step
Absolutely.
further. Red stag. Have you guys ever seen a red stag in person?
I have not.
No.
The only way I can describe it is like they're like a majestic animal. Like they're huge, massive animals. My dad was a guide where he worked. They ended up getting some, and we were in the tree stand hunting pigs. And all of a sudden, we were in the stand for like 2 hours, and all of a sudden, like, oh hey, that small tree limb just moved. Wait a second. Oh my god, that was a red stag staring at me the whole time. And then all of a sudden you start realizing there's been 8 staring at you the whole time. Like, I believe some of these things are just extremely elusive. Like Dan said, they're very smart. They're not they're not out in the open for everyone.
But is that
Just
instinctual
like a big buck.
or is it learned?
I think it's learned. I 100% think it's learned because you don't have a deer that's born right next to a house unless it has like phenomenal genes, become a monster. You
Mm-hmm.
get that from like deep in the mountains, just never bothered, no stress, nothing. But whenever they know, like they learn it, like, okay, they can smell, they can see. What spectrum do they see on? I don't know.
Well, I was going to say,
But,
isn't like a deer, for example, their sight is outrageous.
well, this is the thing. It is, but there was a theory years ago that they see in like shades. If that make like they don't see like we do. They see different shades. So
Okay.
like if you're in a tree stand and the sun's behind you and you move a little bit, it would pick up on you more than if the sun was in front of you and you're like up against a tree and you move your head a little bit. That was a theory that was I remember reading about that in high school. And like there was some sort of hunting brand that had to completely change how they make their clothes because you could see it in ultraviolet. So there was a conversation they could see in ultraviolet. But was that learned? No. I think that's just how they biologically are. But for the ones that are evasive and the ones that can actually just like seem like they disappear, I think that definitely can go along with like cryptids. I think that for however long some of these ones have been here, they know how to be elusive. 100%.
That's fair.
Yeah. They got to be smart, right? Understanding their surroundings and staying away from high populated areas.
Yep.
Well, I think that's also come. The reason I asked if it's instinctual or if it's learned, that like any, I mean, any living thing has an instinct to want to live, right? It doesn't want to die. So that's why I was curious as to why you guys whether you guys think if it's instinctual or if it's learned. It's probably a little bit of both, I would think.
Yeah, I would probably say both for sure.
I would say, I would definitely say, I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's more learned.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Do you think
because
that they're getting
technology
like they
with
get
hunting
more advanced?
on the hunting side of things are with hunting are only getting more advanced too. I mean, like for example, when you used to have to go hunt, we didn't have all this like, there's deer urine, there's salt licks, there's all this kind of stuff that didn't really exist in as mass quantity as it does now. For example, sometimes back in the day you'd probably have to harvest the urine yourself. Now you can go buy it. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like the learn thing makes so much more sense just because a deer, if they've smelled it enough, they can differentiate between natural and artificial. That's my point, right? Is that like
Yep.
that's the learned part of it, but the instinctual part of it is like, hey, I've been here before, I got shot at. Probably shouldn't go there again. You know what I mean? Or go about it a different way or during a different time of day or something like that. So that's why I say it's a little bit of both.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's like a kid putting their hand on the stove, you know. You're not gonna do that too many times if you're smart. You're gonna know, hey, I shouldn't put my hand on that.
Right.
The
100%.
dumb ones do the opposite. So
They hold it there.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
well,
getting off of going back to kind of what Blake just said about the deer urine, that is such a good example. Um, for years, you know how people are like, "All right, you want to spray all this doe pee here, and you want to put it a lot over here for the big bucks to come." It was actually studied. They'll drop a little bit of their urine like every 100 yards, every 50 to 100 yards, not a super concentrated area. So it's like, I'm definitely still guilty of it. Like, I'll be in the stand, bow season, spray a little bit. You're allowed to do that. Cool. But people used to be like, oh, you just want to dump it right here in your kill zone. No, it doesn't make sense. You know,
so what they just leave like a trail?
some do.
Or
Um,
you could almost, I mean, you could almost use it as like a target area. So like you would drop it in a circle or a triangle or a figure eight or whatever you wanted to do to sort of make them like hone around the same area for a while. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, so like Blake, you guys are from Ohio. You guys are allowed to hunt over bait. I've hunted in Ohio quite a few times, archery and muzzleloader, unsuccessful, but you're allowed to hunt over bait there. You're
Right.
allowed to have corn piles, whatever like that. Here in PA, we're not allowed. Um, because I'm not hunting on my property, the house I bought. I'm still throwing out corn for the deer, but technically, this like it coming close to season, you're not allowed. But because I'm not hunting here, legitimately, I'm allowed to. Um, but that's the thing, like you said, they'll learn where to stay away from. What I noticed in Ohio from my hunting experiences is I always tried to change my spot where I was at because if you have a bait pile there constantly, they're gonna know something's up. They know something's weird. Last time I was down there, I hunted right next to a cornfield, and I still have videos of just so many deer. Sadly, they didn't get in my kill zone, but just so many deer walking because I wasn't hunting over bait. That was like what I was more used to. Um, but then they quickly learned though that like, hey, something in that tree doesn't seem right. Like I was there for 5 days of hunting, and within like at the end of day two, they're like, yeah, something don't seem right up there. Something just seems like there's times I'm not even moving. They're walking like, what is that? That's been there for a couple. That don't seem right.
Right. Like things have
So
changed, things have shifted. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
and that again goes back to okay. Here's a good point. Like thing. Say these certain cryptids, as we talked about, have been around for a very long time, right?
Hmm.
Look at how much humans have changed landscapes
Oh
and
yeah.
different, where once was a forest is now a city.
Well, yeah, like the infrastructure, and that's what sort of what I'm talking about is they've adapted.
Yeah, 100%.
So then why, like, we'll take Mothman and like the Jersey Devil and some of these other cryptids, like Mothman for sure. Um, why do you think some of these are always seen around like places with negative histories, a lot of death, tragedies? Um, like Mothman was spotted right before that bridge in West Virginia collapsed, killing like 20 something people, I think. It was seen before a couple other tragedies. Like, what
Well,
do you think that
I
is?
think it comes back to Brennan's conversation about are they you're dealing with two different types of life forms, one that's malicious and one that's not. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
where uh, and it's the same thing with what we were talking about a couple episodes ago too, and then not to backtrack or anything, but like uh, an alien sighting of an extraterrestrial could be a cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
And a sighting of an angel could be a cryptid. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily there to do any harm. It's just something that's not understood or is you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
goes back to
yeah,
that whether it's malicious or it's there to do good or whatever it's there to do. And I mean, you could throw ghosts into cryptids, apparitions. You know what I mean? You could
Mm-hmm.
throw that word and that description of what a cryptid is to pretty much anything that's unexplainable. That's my point.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and like so, along with the legitimate story I'm going to tell you guys later, there's another one I'd like to add, and Dan actually heard about this story from my dad, and what you just said goes right in line with that, right in line.
Well, I think we should I mean, we're getting into about a 40 minutes of the episode, so I think we should get into sort of your firsthand account and we can talk about it because I know I've never heard of it or you've never told it to me or I don't know anything about it. I'm very green to it, but
Yeah.
apparently Dan was either on the phone or something like that with you when it
I
happened. Is that
was
right?
I was
Yes.
on the phone with him, and Brennan didn't like. This is the first time he's talked about it in about over a year, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to talk
So
about it. So
yeah, no, I'm good with talking about it.
Like
okay.
so sort of regale us with it. We'll sort of let you talk and then we'll let you sort of drive the conversation as far as what you want to talk about and how far you want to go into it. So go ahead.
I'll talk about all of it. I have no issue with it. It was one of those things when it happened. Literally, I was saying, "What the fuck was that?" Um, so I was working with Dan, and I was on the phone with him, and this is when I lived in my old house, about 25 minutes away.
And we
I get
work
home from
second
work.
shift, so this is later at night,
Yeah, this is at what, around like 11:30. No, that's probably almost around midnight.
about midnight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on the phone with Dan. I get home, and I'm on the phone with him, and I let my dog Harley out. Um, and to try to explain it, I had a driveway that was probably 50 or 60 feet long, going up a little bit. It, oh, excuse me, sorry. I had a big metal garage. In between, like next on the left of the garage, was a little walkway, maybe about 10 feet wide. Then there was the house. Now, to get into my house, right in front of caddy cornered closer to the house was the cement pad, and there was a big wooden deck that surrounded my house. So you'd like take 6 or 7 steps on the deck, and then there was a walkway to get into my house. So I let Harley out, and like every night we walk in between the garage and my house. And I used to have this old red shed where we used to keep our chickens. So from where I'm standing to the chicken coop, or the chicken shed, whatever, there's probably about, I'm going to say 20, 25 yards. And every night I take Harley out. We're standing there. I have my light on to see what she's looking at. And she just stops. And I mean, she has never done this before. And to this day, she's never done this again. She stopped and had like, she was like staring at the shed. The hair on her back stood up, her neck stood up, and she just started growling. And I was like, Harley, what the fuck are you looking at? And I remember shining my light over the shed, and she is now like really fired up, growling and showing teeth. Again, she's never done that. The next thing I know is I hear a woman's voice from behind the shed. And at this point, I'm like, I think I was like, Dan, I gotta go. I was like, I can't remember what I said to him, but I remember I was like, Harley, back in the house now. And we slowly walked backwards. My dog can be dumb as hell. She's never walked backwards before. She walked backwards with me. We hit that concrete. I turned and ran into the house. I run in the house. I grab my AR, rack around, and I have a light on the side of it. So I run outside. I go to like where I can see in between my house, or I'm like standing between my house, and you could see the shed a little bit from where I'm standing in between the house and garage. I hit my light, and all of a sudden, I see this black thing dart from behind my shed down my like yard. It was a sloped yard. And I don't know why, but I ran forward. I hopped up onto the back of the deck, and I lit this thing up with my light. And across my house was this massive field. Like, I'm going to say it was like an 800-yard field long by like 500 wide. It was huge. And at the end, there was where you could make it was like a you can go straight, which was a slight turn. You can make a slight right, or you can make a hard left down another road. After the hard left, there's woods right before another field. Mind you, it is pitch black. And I have my light on this thing the whole way running over across the road into the woods. I look through my scope, and at this, it was running on all fours. The next, like, I'm looking through the scope. It stands up on all, like, on its back legs, and it didn't look like it should have been running on all fours. It turned and looked at me, and the eyes were just so fucking weird. Like, when I was younger spotting for animals, like you could see different animals have like very similar eyes. They were just bright. This was like like a disgusting, like weird, funky yellow, reddish like eyes. And right when I flicked my safety off, it just boom started running through the woods, and I followed it with my light, and it just disappeared. I got the chills talking about it. Like, it was fucking wild. And I remember ran into the house, like woke my wife up, told her what happened, and I did not sleep that night. I was like, what fucking bad juju is going on here? This, that, and the third. And the more I told people about it, some people were like, oh, that sounds like a skinwalker, that sounds like a wendigo, blah blah blah. But I had said earlier in the podcast, there's never been, from my knowledge that I've found, a skinwalker in PA or a wendigo. They talk about a dog man, but this didn't look like how that's explained. I don't know what this fucking thing was, but all I know is it was weird as shit.
So when you saw it, what was like your first reaction? Like, were you stunned? Were you scared? Like, when you made eye contact, a lot of people say that like when they see certain stuff, like they freeze or like they're not able to move. Like a paralysis type of effect. What did you feel? Do you remember?
Honest to God, when I saw it through my scope and it looked at me, it looked like it knew I was looking at it. It was like it knew like I was really looking at it. Not like, oh, there's a light on me. And I feel like in a weird way it was like a taunt.
Like
I don't know.
like some shoot me type shit or something like that.
No, like follow me. Come on, try it. One of those. Like The fact that, like, dude, I don't know why I went towards. I don't know why I ran towards it. I don't know why I ran on the back of my porch. Like, I don't know why I did that. But I'll never forget that. I mean, I'm telling you what, for me seeing it stand up, looking at me, to switching my safety off was maybe 2 seconds. It wasn't like it was a long period of time. It was just one of those things. Like growing up, I always had a very weird like protectiveness over me. What I mean by that is like I always wanted. I've always naturally been like a protector. When that happened, I was like, game on, switch, like flip it, boom, it's gone. I'm like, fuck. Part of me is like, man, why didn't I shoot at it while I was running across the field? But then I'm thinking to myself, well, I know why I didn't. I didn't have like 100% clear shot on whatever the hell this thing was. And when I did, it's
How
just gone.
how fast would you say it was moving?
It was definitely running faster than my dog can.
Okay. Just talking like 10, 15 miles an hour ish. Interesting.
I would say it was probably around like 15.
Okay. Okay.
Because I'm trying to think of like different animals and their speeds and like how fast they'll move.
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
How tall was it?
oh, dude, this thing was like fucking 7 foot tall at least. At least.
Okay.
I mean, the tree it stood next to, when it stood up, it was like in the trees. The fucking trees are huge. Like, and I'm not even talking about height, I'm talking about width.
Yeah.
This thing was about half the size of a tree. So it looked like maybe like 4 foot wide, but like 7 foot tall. And it looked right at me. And then boom, just disappeared.
So
But
what
what
I
got me
like,
was what fucked me up was is like why was it running on all fours? And then why get over there you stand up? That didn't make sense to me. That's
why
why I
did you?
say go ahead.
So you said earlier that it sounded like a woman. Can you describe that? Like what?
It was like a weird fucking laugh, dude. It was like
It
a woman's laugh.
laughed?
And the thing is like chills, dude. I thought it was my neighbor fucking with me because I had two neighbors that were royal assholes. But it wasn't her laugh. It was like
Was it a cackle or was it more of like a
a cackle. It
okay.
was weird. It was fucking weird.
Interesting.
But I'm gonna tell you what. I couldn't tell you if it was a male or female. Like,
Did it like so? Did it look like it had clothes on? Did
nope.
it have long
It was all
hair?
black.
Like was
It was all black. Like
Was
a
it
weird fucking
was it
elongated face, not like a snout, but like
was it
just
translucent? Was it opaque? What was it? Like was it see-through or was it like a
no.
hard like okay.
It
like a
was
shadow, like
no,
shadowy?
not shadowy. It was like an actual thing. It looked like I was looking at some sort of weird fucking animal. Like
Like a fucking weird black bear?
Or it kind of sounds like a werewolf or something like that.
Yeah.
but like yeah,
Yeah.
werewolves don't do that. Werewolves don't make that kind of noise. Lycans don't do that. But trust me, I've looked at this shit. Like
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. And the only thing I've been able to figure out is like a skinwalker. And the theory goes if you acknowledge it, it'll come back. Well, I acknowledged that motherfucker and I was waiting. And for some
Yeah,
reason,
but
I've never seen it again.
the skinwalker
They're not in
whenever
PA.
and like uh there's been a couple sightings in like Wendigo, Sasquatch and Wendigo in the Allegheny National Forest. They're there. A lot of
Well, that's
sightings
the thing.
there.
I'm far from there. Like,
Right. I know you are, yeah. But Wendigo doesn't look like how you're describing it. And as far as a skinwalker, yeah, it's more Navajo, so they shouldn't be out here.
Mm-mm.
But as far as like even the way you're describing it, they're bigger, right? Like a big wolf,
Mm-hmm.
like dire wolf type thing.
And it was
But
black. It was blacker than the night sky. I mean, it was a weird black.
did it have? Can you do you remember like what the ears looked like?
It
Did it
looked like
have
normal
ears?
ass ears.
Human
It looked like
ears.
normal, like it
Uh,
looked like normal
definitely, it
ears.
definitely sounds
It
like a
looked
skinwalker for sure.
the arms were like weird and fucked up and bent, and like the hands were just so long. The fingers were so long. It was fucking creepy.
The uh, the interesting thing is you said it laughed or something, right?
Like a cackled. Mind you, I
Yeah,
want you guys to know I'm staring out a window right now into my yard. So, yeah, like
yeah, like the mimicry is interesting. Is that skinwalkers are known, and I'm looking this up right now. I'm staring at it.
to do that.
They tend to mimic voices or loved ones to lure people and attack people.
Well, see, this is the thing. I don't know whose fucking laugh that was. Like, and that's another thing I sat and thought about for a long time too. Was whose laugh was that?
Like, were you able to
Because
pinpoint it? Yeah.
my mom doesn't laugh like that. None of my grandmothers, my wife, no one on her side, no one on my side. Like, there wasn't even a person that I grew up with thinking back that had a laugh like that. It was
Did
just
you
like
ever did you ever
evil.
look up the
Just
history of
fucking
that
sounded
land?
evil.
Did you ever look up the history of like that land that your house was on?
Yes. And thankfully, I say thankfully because I didn't find anything negative, but there was a lot of mines way deep below me. Like the original well to that house was over 100 feet deep because it would go through pockets of the mine. But there wasn't actual mining there. It was one of the ways to get down to the mine, I guess. But nothing ever, like, there was collapses, but no one ever died. No one ever got stuck. In like the history of that land, there's all these old farmhouses and shit everywhere back there, but there wasn't anything that I could find that lined up with it
As far as
at
the
all.
shed was concerned, was that constructed or was that already on the property when you moved?
It was already there when we moved in, but it was built when the house was built.
Okay.
Yeah, and I still talk to the previous owners who originally owned that house. Well, I shouldn't say that. The people I bought it off of that he grew up there, his mom and dad built it. He said he remembered when the house was built. But his mom and dad passed away. That's actually when the mom passed away. That's actually how we found out about the house. But yeah,
But nothing from the previous owners. They didn't. I mean, I'm not saying that you probably have talked to them about it, but there wasn't anything like that. Like nothing happened on the property, like no murders, anything like that.
my neighbors
Well, anybody that was around the
and
property.
the previous owners and the people that lived there since before they lived there and families lived there before they did originally had never seen some shit like that.
Interesting.
And that's where it also threw me off too. I'm like, well, how? You know, it
Yeah,
made me
like
question a lot of shit.
yeah, I mean this is like everything that I'm looking up, just like Blake did, and everything that you're describing lines up with skinwalkers to like the animal behavior of like running on all fours, glowing or distorted eyes, mimic of human or animal sounds. However, they are not there's no cases in Western Pennsylvania.
Nope.
They're southwestern United States.
So this goes to my theory of evil and good. I have another story, but it's not a cryptic. It's with an apparition and a story that really followed along to with what I saw. Um, Dan, I told you about that. Do you think that would go along with this? Kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, go for it, man.
So up at my farm, um, It's about 45 minutes from Clearfield. I'll say that. Blake, I don't know if you know where that is. It's about an hour and 10 or an hour and 15 past IUP up north. Um, so down where my farm is, there is a house probably 5, maybe 6, I'm going to say 5 miles, 6 miles away. And across from this house is a cemetery. So a long time ago, that used to be, where the families would bring, the dead ones would come, they would go through the system, they'd have the viewings there, and then go bury the bodies across the street. So, mind you, I'm explaining this to you now, so you can understand like kind of what I saw. The story goes there was a woman that died. They had the viewing, and there was a bad snowstorm. And that because of the snowstorm, they couldn't bury her for like a week or something. So the body had to stay in the house before it was laid in the ground. Now, when this happened, it was not wintertime, it was the fall. When I was younger, growing up, all through middle school and high school, this happened in high school. I had a cousin who's a lot older than me. He never really grew up doing stuff like that, but he'd always come up the farm. So we used to always go on like real long quad rides. So we're coming down this hill, and I'm in front of him. He's behind me on his quad. And I'm pulling up to this house. And on the third story, there's a window facing like the field that's to my right that we own and the road. And I remember looking up. Oh, I got the fucking chills talking about this. Holy shit. I look up through the window, and there was a woman in an old white gown, like an old school, like kind of puffy white, like just dress. And I'm like staring. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And the closer I got, or initially the lady was smiling, and I'm probably like 35, 40 yards away, closing in on the house. It's maybe 20 feet off the road, but like that's how close I am to this window. Like, this woman was originally smiling, and the closer I got, she started like freaking out, hitting stuff. Her teeth got real sharp, like just fucking evil. And I stopped my quad, and I'm staring, and then this lady just starts shaking. And I turn and look back at my cousin. I'm like, did you just fucking see that? He's like, see what? And I look back, and there's nothing. The room's like, there's nothing in the window. Everything looks fine. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? So after I go on the quad ride, I tell my dad what happened, and that's how I found out about that story. And something similar happened to my late grandmother when they used to own the house, because my grandparents had bought it at one point. And she was in the house. She looked up the staircase, and she described the same exact woman my dad said, but she was like using her finger to say like, come here, up the stairs. Like, I'm covered in goosebumps talking about this shit. So there's a part of me that I think that's why I feel as though cryptids are definitely some sort of animal, but I think there's a correlation between good and evil.
Well, I think you have to make that distinction, when you're dealing with stuff like this, because it's very important to understand the motive. And that's where the research comes in, is that you have to know what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
When you see something that's unexplained, you have to be able to pinpoint it to sort of know how to react, because I think in what you did was more of a reaction than you actually thinking about it. Like you said, you see yourself, and I've been around you, you do seem like that type of person. You seem like the type of person that's going to step in front of a bullet for somebody, especially somebody you care about. Now, if it's somebody that's just on the street, that might be a little bit different, but I think I think of what you did was more instinctual than anything else. I don't think it's something you had necessarily had control over. It's just something that you saw something and you reacted.
Yeah. Now, kind of jumping ship from these two stories, I want to talk about the smelling thing that we originally were talking about with, the different cryptids.
That was going to be my next question: is did you smell anything? Was there any odor in the
No,
air? Nothing
no,
that you remember?
no. There
Okay.
was no smell for the one at my old house. It was just, I could remember the smell of the air, and that's it. Like where I was living, like there's no cities, there's none of that. It's like super fresh.
Okay.
And there was like a cow farm next to me, and all I remember is just smelling like just the night air, chilly, just no smells. But how I shot my deer last year, I smelled my deer. And when I said like I had heard a story that I thought was bullshit and one that I do think is real, I'm not going to say who, but I knew somebody that was in the military that worked for the government. And I wish he was still alive. He would have loved this podcast. He ended up dying of cancer. And he, uh, he used to tell some odd stories about these things. And one of his stories was is they hunted Bigfoot out, and I think it was Nevada. Dan, did my dad say? He said he was out in Nevada or Wyoming, somewhere like that.
Yeah, I
And
think I think it was Nevada, I believe.
yeah,
By like
and
Area 51.
yeah, and they were, there was these weird sightings, blah blah blah. Him and his partner were out on patrol, and they said that they saw a sighting somewhere, so they went to go look, and they went down to like this creek bed, and across this creek on the other side, he described Bigfoot. Super hairy, nasty ass smell, and it was like crouched down, and its head moved like an owl. Looked at them, stood up, and just disappeared. But he explained like the eyes were like red. That is one of the reasons why I definitely believe in Bigfoot, because this guy, growing up, is one of the he was like the Alex Jones to my family, if that makes sense. Like oh, he's just crazy, but then some of the stories he would talk about, there were some things that he talked about that ended up coming out to be real and true, which is for another time. But I had a kid in college tell me he ran into a Bigfoot while he was hunting or while he was with his dog in the woods, and how he explained it just didn't line up. He was with his dog. He said he smelled something real musky, and then I asked him questions. He was like, "Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that too." So I'm like, "All right, that's bullshit." But when I was hunting my deer, well, I was hunting last year, like I'm gonna say 8 or 9 deer were coming down the trail I came in on, off to the side a little bit. 3 broke off. They went behind me, and to this day, like, dude, I'll never forget it. It was musky. I'm like, oh, that's a buck. It just smelled musky, and that was a big explanation that people talked about when it comes to like Bigfoots or Bigfoots in particular is a musky smell, like a nasty musk, and that's how I was able to know that that was the buck I had inevitably shot last year. It was musky. It was still dark out. I'm like, oh, it needs to get light. I need to see how big this deer is. It just ended up eating right on the trail. Sunlight came up. I waited past the legal shooting time to make sure it was like legal shooting time, and I smoked it. But that's how I smelled it. And I definitely believe that there's a smell to some of these cryptids. 1,000,000%. The fact that I could smell a deer, you'll definitely be able to smell something like that.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. I also think that like with the whole like the cryptozoologists and stuff like that, and like the Bigfoot hunters and all that, and just paranormal in general, having like we've talked on this podcast before with paranormal, I believe that you gotta have if you don't go into it with respect,
Yeah.
um, I think the lack of respect towards any cryptid or spiritual entity, you can really get fucked up because they don't like that.
Listen, I
They don't
firmly
like
believe that too.
cocky.
Yes.
You know, I used to like love the paranormal stuff and like wanted to go to Alcatraz and do the lockdown thing, get locked down in different houses, and now it's like I don't I'm fascinated by it. I'll study it. I don't want to go and look for trouble because I know those things follow you. They can attach to you. I think the more, I'm almost like with Brennan, it's like, you know, I'll do an episode or two about spirits and paranormal shit or cryptids, but I think that if you talk about it too much and you're around it too much, you are welcoming them into your reality and your dimension, and that shit can drastically have implications on your life and your family that I just don't think you want to bring in. So whenever you are dealing with it, you got to have a respect for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing. It's one to be curious about it and talk about it, but then you get into the provoking aspect where
Yeah, and I've seen that.
the
I've
ghost
been
hunting
around
stuff where you're
that.
trying to like bring it out and make it do stuff and all that kind of shit. Like, do you gotta be careful about what you're fucking with.
Yeah, I mean, asking it to turn a light on or off or, asking it questions is one thing, but I mean, like Zach Bagans, he, you guys know who Zach Bagans is?
I don't.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I know you do, Brennan. So, Blake, Zach Bagans, he, uh, he started off Ghost Adventures, that show that Cody and I and Alexa and Mackenzie used to watch. Started off with just three of them, him and two other guys, um, Aaron and I forget the other guy. It was just them with three cameras. They each had a camera and they would go to these sites. They started off just posting on YouTube, and then they got this show with I think it was Discovery Channel or Travel Channel.
I think it was
But
Discovery. I think that's what I used to watch
uh,
on growing up.
so I don't know if you've noticed, Brennan, but Zach is totally different than how he used to be. I mean, his mannerisms, down to how
Mm-hmm.
he dresses, he talks, everything. I think that he has been possessed. And he was very cocky with these things. The I'm gonna botch the name, but the Pavoglia Island or Pavlia Island, do you remember that one in Italy?
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude, he
dude.
got possessed there and like he was asking, like telling his demon that he's a bitch, basically, talking shit, taunting it, and it's like I know Aaron and the other guy, they said his eyes completely flipped and changed, and you can see it, and it's just the three of them. They don't have a whole crew. It was those three guys, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now the show's different, and they got a whole crew, and I don't watch it anymore. But I mean, that
Well, I
he's
don't
a
know if you
perfect.
followed the one guy. I think his name was Aaron off that show. Have you seen all the
Dude,
wild stuff that's been going on with him?
well, dude, he had wild shit going on before this wild shit. So his wife divorced him because of shit that was following him home
Yep.
originally in those first two or three seasons, and now, like, didn't his wife try to like kill him or hired a hitman or some
Yep.
shit like that? His new
Yep.
wife, yeah. And then there was the couple that lived in Las Vegas that were paranormal hunters, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy killed his wife, and then he killed himself.
Yeah, just wild
Like,
stuff.
just some really you fuck with the wrong shit, man. And that's why, like, if it's interdimensional, whatever, these things obviously have, you know, back in the medieval times and ancient times, they called it magic or superpower, whatever. They have abilities that we don't.
Oh
We
yeah,
don't even
and like you said
understand.
though, you gotta respect it.
Yeah, and I think too many people don't respect it,
Yeah,
and that's
and
part of the problem.
I feel like it's kind of like an addiction for some people that want to really push those boundaries that don't respect it, and then you have people that do respect it that don't get fucked with.
Yeah, but also I think the younger generation, when you're younger, you don't understand things and you kind of have a lack of respect for that. Because if you notice, there's not too many old timers that disrespect that. It's usually the younger crowd,
Hmm.
and then eventually they get that respect and understand it. Um, Blake, I don't know how you feel about that, but um,
I
that's my
mean,
2 cents on that.
the stuff with the respect thing, I think I think you're right. I think you guys are right. You have to sort of toe the line. Um, you can mess with something, but it's like if you mess with somebody in real life, right? They're gonna break at some point. They're gonna do something that's out of character. They're gonna retaliate. They're gonna do whatever they need to do to make it known that it's not okay. And I think I think we experience that even at, if we're talking about apparitions and ghosts and stuff like that, right? The vast majority of the time, from what I understand about that kind of stuff, is that some of which don't know that they're not of the world anymore. They're trying to sort of reach out and, you know what I mean, whatever way they know how, whether it's malicious or with malicious intent or forgiving intent or whatever you want to put on it. But a lot of that stuff comes from not knowing what's going on, I think. And they're trying to sort of make a connection to something that they had in a previous life, whether it's you or somebody else, or you're sort of playing the part for them, I guess, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to gravitate towards something that they know.
Hmm.
And
Well,
they become so otherworldly that they don't know how to interact with that kind of stuff anymore. So what Brendan experienced could have been something like, when it stopped and looked at him, right? It could have been studying him. We're like, huh, that's interesting. I remember that.
yeah.
Something to that effect. Not necessarily that, but like that type of idea. Go ahead.
No, yeah, no. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean,
Like it
even
saw
us as
you and you were
humans.
pointing a weapon at it. It's like, huh, that's interesting. Wonder why he's doing
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. But that's sort of
Like
how
it
I
like
feel about it. They're trying to tether in some form or fashion, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah, and I think that you make a very good point with that. And that even alludes to me talking about, the some of animals, some maybe paranormal, evil and good. Like that it makes me like feel better, making me think like I'm not crazy thinking that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Like,
it's the same effect as like, when you play like a dog sound for your dog or something like that and they sort of tilt their head. They're like, "Oh, that sounds familiar." You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
it's one of those things.
Yeah. Well, what like kind of going along the lines of what you're talking about. This is kind of more of a paranormal story. My father, my uncle, and my late grandfather, um, my cousins have all seen the same guy up in New York where like some of my family has property. It's always on a foggy day. It's always, when it's a little bit chilly out. There's this guy in a black trench coat and a hat that'll walk out into a field. They'll see him, they'll wave at him, the guy will wave back and just disappear. And the story goes that there was a guy who lived back there a long time ago that loved hunting and died. Like that's one of them things, like you just said, coming out every once in a while on a specific time, checking things out, see if people are still being respectful. And that's the thing, everyone's always waved like, hey, guy just lifts his hand, waves, and walks away.
It's almost like
And I,
stuck in time. Like that
right,
energy is just there.
right. And something kind of like Blake just said, when it comes to like Bigfoot sightings, I don't think it's necessarily that aspect. I think it's just like kind of a right place, right time for us. Wrong place, wrong time for them.
Yeah.
But
And I'll even
you
say
know,
too, before we wrap up the show, as I have sort of a sense, since we're sharing stories, I know Brendan, you shared yours, which when I tell you the one that I'm talking about, I fully respect what you saw. So like, there was a soccer tournament that I used to play in with my sister, because my sister and I used to play soccer up until we were about 13, 14 years old. And I think it was the year prior, or maybe 6 months prior to this tournament, my grandfather, my dad's dad, had passed away in a car accident. And he was
Sorry
all
for that loss.
yeah. So I appreciate that. But anyways, long story short, we went to the soccer tournament to play, and it was called Nightmare at the Rock. It was in I believe it was in Chicago, right outside of Chicago. And it was a Halloween tournament, funny enough. And it was a huge soccer tournament, and we would always stay at the same hotel. It was like this hotel that had like a big atrium in it. So like all the rooms, if you ever been to a hotel that has like a big lobby, and then all of the rooms were sort of in like a square, like makeshift square around the lobby, right? So there was like a sitting area, and then there was the lobby, and then there was like a restaurant off to the right and that kind of stuff. And then there was this huge elevator that had plate glass, so you could see the elevator as you were riding up the elevator, right? You'd be able to see down in the lobby, which was really cool. And the hotel was huge, so we would always play like hide and go seek, or like run around like the different parts of the hotel and stuff like that. Anyways, so we go to the soccer tournament, and everything's going fine. I think we were there for like a day or two, and my grandfather always had this very distinct way of like standing. He would always like put his hand on his hip. So like his right arm would always stand on his hip, and he would have sort of like this lean to him, right? Like just sort of resting in place. So we're walking back to the hotel, and we go up the elevator, and across the lobby, my sister said, and my sister's just sort of looking out at the lobby, and we see this guy, and his back is turned to us, standing just like my grandfather. I'm talking like looked exactly like him. Couldn't see his face. It was just his like his frame, like his body, right? And we could see the back of his head. And we went up, my sister said, "Hey, that kind of looked like Grandpa down there." And my dad sort of stood up, because my dad was very close. I mean, this is the only time I've ever seen my dad cry, was when we lost my grandfather. Because it was so sudden. He fell asleep at the wheel, and long story short, passed away. But my dad just sort of in the hotel room, after my sister sort of told everybody about it, she was like, I think I saw Grandpa downstairs, or somebody that looked like Grandpa. It was kind of weird. And my dad just sort of like broke down and started crying and stuff, which is normal. I mean, that was pretty fresh. It was like 6 to 8 months after it happened, or something like that. And I remember my dad going down. It was curious, is like, went down to the lobby and was like asking like the people at the front desk and people in the restaurant and people that we had been there at the tournament with, like, did anybody see this guy? Like, we couldn't see his face. Anybody know who this guy was or see him or anything? Nobody knew what we were talking about. Everybody thought my dad was nuts. And I saw it. Like, when my sister pointed him out, I was like, holy shit, that's uncanny. Like, that's just weird. You know what I mean?
So you were in the elevator?
Yeah, we were in the elevator. We were in the elevator, going up in the elevator. We were probably like 4 or 5 floors up, and he couldn't have been 50 yards away from us.
Jesus.
When we went up the elevator, and never turned around, never changed motion. He was in sort of like a group of people. So like when we went back down, we couldn't find the group of people he was standing around. Nothing. It was weird, dude.
Wow.
It was weird. And to this day, and you guys know how my family is. I mean, at least Danny does. Ask my sister and my dad about it. Can't ask my mom, because obviously she's no longer with us, but my mom was there. My sister was there. I was there. My dad was there. We all saw him. It was weird. And that's
weird.
That's sort of, and the reason I say that is going back to the conversation we had about the malevolence and the benevolent type of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Is that was like his way of showing that he was okay, and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And You know what? Listen, if I ever come back for another episode, you guys want to talk about like more along the lines of paranormal and like religious stuff. I got a story for you guys that'll just it's one of them stories I'll never forget.
Well,
It
like
was
I
similar
said,
to that,
I
but
I think I think we should tackle the other side of it because we tackled a lot of like yours. Yours definitely sounds like something, at least to me, that
Mm-hmm.
was alluring.
yes.
It wasn't a hey, I'm okay. It was sort of like you said, it was sort of like a taunt, like
Hmm.
Taunting.
I'm right here.
Like, yeah, come,
Like
come on, bitch,
uh,
come follow
right,
me.
like I'm right here.
Well,
Come get curious.
it's funny because I was talking to Dan. I don't know, maybe a week or two ago,
Like it
maybe
turned around
longer
and
than that.
faced you and made eye contact.
Yeah, like, and I told Dan this a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if this will fall along like those lines too, but ever since I was a little kid, ever since I could remember, I felt like I was put here to fight evil. And there's a part of me that feels like I'm kind of doing that with my job now with what I do. But ever since I was a little, I'm telling you guys, ever since I was a little kid, I've always felt that way. And I'm not talking about like the shit that you see on TV people call evil. Like I don't know, it's always been like this weird thing for me. My whole life I felt that way. And that night that I saw that, I think like you said, I think that's why that was my initial reaction because I just reacted. It wasn't like a maybe I should do this kind of thing. It was just like game time, you know. Um,
Are you glad you didn't pull the trigger?
no, I'm pissed I didn't. I'm actually mad I didn't react faster. Like genuinely thinking back, I wish I would have reacted faster. Um,
What do you think would have happened?
I don't know if we'd be having this conversation. And I say that because I don't know if I think my life might have taken a different path. I think if I
How
would have
so?
shot, I think if I would have shot, I would have went and looked for blood. And I'm glad I just said that and you said that because that was something I wanted to say is, me hunting my whole life. I know how to track. There was nothing behind my shed footprints. There was no footprints.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is
I
to
looked in
say
the
what?
There
field.
was no, there was no footprints.
Nothing. Not a fucking thing.
I mean, for something to be that big, and
The only thing that I could find was a broken limb from where it stood up
by the shed or by the tree.
by the tree. Mind you, definitely look during the day. Fuck looking at night. But
Yeah,
um
yeah.
that the next day when Bubba went to daycare, I stopped and looked over there and there was a broken limb. And I'm not talking about like a small ass tree limb.
Yeah. Well, I
Shit was
mean,
just weird.
that's that's a crazy story.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not something.
you were
It's not something that you want to revisit. So I think we can speak for both of us and all three of us that we appreciate you sharing it because it's that kind of stuff.
definitely
Like even
appreciate you.
even I had a little bit of goosebumps telling that grandfather story, and it wasn't even close to that. Like you know what I mean? It was kind of the other way, and that's why I
Yeah.
sort of wanted to bring it up.
No,
So
Yeah,
listen, I'm cool with it. I've come to terms with shit. Like, I'm
yeah,
good. You know.
yeah. I don't have any cryptid experience. Um, plenty of paranormal experiences. Blake knows. At my house growing up, bunch of friends of ours had experiences there, but no cryptid. Um, and we had a cabin up in Tynesta. Nothing up there. Uh, I go camping up there occasionally and haven't had anything yet. Don't really want to. Um, if it
Can I tell
happens,
you
it
something?
happens. Yeah.
Where we went, you and I, it didn't
Yeah.
feel bad. It didn't feel weird.
No, no, no.
It felt good.
Yeah, it felt like a good area. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's some. I guess there's some places and trails that I would be on riding the ATV or walking or whatever. Like, I guess there would be like some feels, but I never saw anything. Does that make sense? Like, I never.
Like something was looking at you.
Kind of like you're being watched a little bit, I guess, maybe. I've had that feeling a handful of times, but, um, again, you're out in the woods. It could be a deer looking at you, it could be a bear, it could be anything, but, you can get a sense of, like, and I've had enough experiences at the house, my dad's old house and property, of feeling like negative energy, like a not good, that house had good spirits and not good spirits or whatever you want to call it. And there is a distinct different
Mm-hmm.
feeling you get in the air. Your breathing just gets almost like difficult to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had that too much in the woods, maybe a handful of times, but never saw anything.
It's like a
But
feeling
again, I
of
don't really.
it's like a feeling of dread versus a feeling of like calmness
Yeah,
or
Yep.
yeah. It's like the fucking Dementors in Harry Potter.
yeah,
You're just like this, like
you
you're
can feel them
never gonna
coming.
be happy. No, you just feel like you're never gonna be happy. You just
Shit gets
like
cold, just doesn't feel right.
yeah, doesn't feel right. You're like, that's like that intuition shit.
Have you guys ever
Um,
been to the 9/11 memorial where the Twin Towers were in New York?
Yes.
no, I have not.
It's,
Whenever I went there in high school for my trips, that's I wouldn't say it was cold, but like you step onto that concrete and all of a sudden it just like comes over you, just like you're not happy, you're not, you're kind of sad, but not super sad. It's just weird. As soon as you step off that like concrete, it's like different. I don't know how to explain it, but you explaining it like that, I know exactly what you're talking about.
like a weight.
Yep. It feels like a weird weight. Kind of going to the back to the Zach Bagans thing, you know. Look at all the shit that all the wild taunting shit that he would do in the places he felt like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. One thing kind of going off that though, I don't know how long you guys want to do this. Do you guys know that place out west that has a lot of electrical interference and shit, but they always see like allegedly skinwalkers?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, and
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah. Mm.
people like you're saying like if you're driving down the road, look at people's feet.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that goes right along those same lines. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, not in the feet aspect, but like the weird electronical field things. Like
Yeah.
some people go, maybe it's the government, but maybe it's deeper than that. You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, they say that Mothman was a government experiment.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Well, look at the.
I mean,
I mean, look at the different stories from everywhere. Look at the people that live in like near the Appalachian Mountains. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen like reports or videos of people saying, you know, oh yeah, we lock our windows and doors at this certain time, pull the blinds down. We don't talk about why, but we always do. It's
yeah,
like,
and like you don't go out in the woods past uh dawn or dusk.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like, do not go out there.
mm-hmm.
Um, and the amount of missing people in
Well, I'll tell you
Appalachia.
something. What do you guys know where Waverly, Ohio is?
Waverly, Ohio.
It's south.
Is it like south by like West Virginia,
No, it's
Kentucky,
yeah, it's south down towards that way. I want to say
like Cincy, Kentucky area?
it's south, like south as shit. That's where I used to muzzleloader hunt in Ohio. And there's like a big military base there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you drive down like the road where these mountains are, and there's fucking explosions everywhere from meth labs. but like I remember talking to some people down there, and they were talking like, yeah, back apparently before the military used to own that, everyone knew not to go over there. It was always weird. Shit would always
Hmm.
happen.
Funny enough,
Like
that's how they came up with the idea for South Park. South Park was a place in Colorado that Matt and Trey Parker knew that weird shit just happened. It's funny. It's funny concept, but it goes along the exact same lines as like it was one of those places you didn't go because weird shit happened all the time.
so you're telling me, man, Bear Pig right fucking
Yeah.
might really be real?
Hell yeah, Cryptid brother.
Easy. Yeah, Cryptid. So,
Wait, hold
what's
on. So
interesting?
we just hold on. I'm gonna forget this. I took a picture of this earlier. Because it's so fucking weird. This came up on my TikTok. Um, I don't know. I definitely believe that things listen to us. But anyways, there
The
is
old talk.
something called a skewonk in Pennsylvania. Um, I'm gonna read this to you guys. This is a legitimate cryptid that's in PA apparently. A shy and ugly pig-like creature with warts and moles that is known for constantly crying. It lives in the hemlock forests and is said to dissolve into tears when cornered. Um, Man, bear pig? Question mark.
Hmm, just sounds like a woman who's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But
God.
Oh, oh, you watch it.
I'm just saying, there's some interesting creatures. We'll call them cryptids here.
But I think what we'll do is we'll probably wrap up. We're at an hour and a half. But as I said, running that kind of stuff, the stuff with my grandfather gave me goosebumps too. So I appreciate
Yeah.
you sharing the story. It's probably not something that you want to revisit, but at the same time, it's interesting to talk about. And the first hand accounts versus like stuff that's really like I guess fleshed out like Bigfoot and stuff like that, you take it at face value and you're kind of like, yeah, bullshit. Like you saw a really big like bear or something and just want to play it off, but like
Right.
it's different when you're talking about stuff that you see just remotely or like people that have firsthand accounts that you've never heard of before. It's interesting. So I appreciate you
Well,
revisited it.
and also,
Oh,
like,
of course.
Brennan's actually got, like, goes into detail. Well, like, its eyes, it's like, like, just, like, very in detail, and his story hasn't changed. When he's
It's just
told
shit
it's
I
the
won't ever
same
forget.
from,
Like seriously, it's
yeah,
shit that I can't
yeah.
forget.
I got a question for each of you real quick before we end this thing. Blake, what is your favorite cryptid?
My favorite?
Yeah, if you had to pick one that's like your favorite.
Mm, it's a good
And Brennan, I'm
question.
gonna ask you the same
I
thing.
don't know if would werewolves qualify.
That's a cryptid. Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely a cryptid.
but
I'm not
yeah,
laughing at you for that. I'll tell you why I'm laughing here in a minute.
no, but I think
Okay.
werewolves are interesting because the vast majority of werewolves are exactly what I was talking about is they don't have the ability to change. They don't have the ability once they are bitten by another werewolf or have some kind of mark from another werewolf, they don't have control over what happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's interesting because you look at lore in certain types of movies and books and stuff where people are able to overcome that and they can sort of fight it and that kind of stuff. But I think it's interesting um, that you can sort of go between, and it comes back to the whole conversation of like a certain time of day, full moon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, but I think it's interesting because it's not necessarily what they're trying to do. It's just what they've sort of adapted into. You know what I mean? They don't want to be vicious. They don't want to kill things necessarily. It's just they become something other than themselves. So that's probably my favorite one out of anything I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. Brennan, what's your favorite
Um,
cryptid?
this is gonna be a wild reason why, but I'm gonna say like Bigfoots and Yetis. Um,
Okay.
that was my nickname growing up when I played football because I was so
Okay.
hairy. Um,
Mm.
but I think the reason why I actually do kind of like Yetis and Bigfoots and stuff is because they're just big ass things just trying to live, man. They're just trying to, as Joe Dierte would have said, keep on keeping on. They're just trying to live. They're not trying to be bothered, nor not trying to fuck with anyone. And I think I think they could definitely be vicious, but it's more like a sleeping giant theory in my head. Only because you don't ever hear stories about. At least I've never heard stories about a Bigfoot attacking somebody or things of that
Yeah,
nature.
there's never been a Bigfoot, anyone killed by a Bigfoot.
That's what I mean.
So,
I think that's why I kind of like them. It's because they just kind of chill out.
They're doing
hmm
their own thing. What about you, Dan?
um, so I was never really into the cryptid stuff until much later on, probably in the last like decade. I would say probably skinwalkers or Mothman. Um, I'll go with skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are just because of Mothman's only been around since that's been around since like 1960. Skinwalker's been around for hundreds of years because of the Navajo. Um, just really interesting. And that show that Brennan mentioned, Blake, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, you hear the stories there, and there's so much that goes on there, and that's Indian burial grounds and ancient land. Um, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's for whatever reason the Skinwalker just kind of fascinates me. Um, but again, like Brennan said, it's like an energy thing. It's supposed to be a demon spirit, so it's definitely not a good one. Um, I don't know,
Well, I
but
think
it's
how we'll
definitely
end the
interesting.
I think how we'll end the show is probably just going back to the respect thing. Like, no matter what we're talking about, is that have respect for people's opinion, have respect for stuff that we don't know about, and have respect for the fact that it's maybe we're not meant to understand it. Maybe that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Maybe it's something that we'll figure out when we get to the point of no return and have to, maybe that's what, and it's a wild concept. Maybe that's what's after this is, the reincarnation type of thing. Maybe they're just reincarnated into something completely different, whether it's malevolent or,
could be.
depending on how, because there's all sorts of statues that you can point to for that kind of stuff. And what you come back as is if you've lived a quote unquote benevolent or malevolent life.
Yeah,
You sort of reap what you sow type of thing. And I think that's an interesting way to end the show. So, um, Brennan, we'd love to have you on in another episode if you want to come back on. I'm more than happy to have you. Like I said, I think I speak for both Danny and I and say thank you for regaling us with the story. I'm like I said, I know it was sort of a a tense subject for you, but we appreciate it. It gave us a lot of content and gave us the ability to sort of extrapolate the conversation. So I appreciate it. I'm sure he does too.
Oh, of
yeah, I
course.
definitely
Thank you guys so
appreciate
much.
you.
I love being on, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but we're gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and end it.
yeah,
We'll have it up on Spotify as soon as we can. I'll probably edit it tonight and it'll be up tomorrow morning. So anything else you guys got before we sign off?
Nope,
just
I'm good. Thank you guys.
like the episode, share it, subscribe, and also shoot us some comments, maybe some topics that you guys would want us to talk about. We'd love to hear from our listeners. So,
But yeah, we'll end it on that. Gentlemen, again, thank you. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care, guys.
see you, man.